10 years ago, I was at Clovis Hills, and I met a gal named Ginger. And Ginger and I did Operation Timothy together. I was the Paul and she was the Timothy. And we would meet at the old Fresno Bible House, and we would drink coffee and we would go through the Operation Timothy books. And she would bring her 2 little twin girls with her. They were babies at the time, and they would sit in their little side-by-side stroller while we studied Operation Timothy. And Ginger became a really good friend. She also had a little boy at that time who was 5 years old, and his name was Christopher. And so we would meet while he was at school. Well, during the time that we were friends, her husband was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And they didn't know what was going to happen, and he was still kind of doing okay. But at that time, they decided that she needed to go back to work because it looked like in the future things would happen with his job. He wouldn't be able to work the same that he was at that time. And so she did go back to work, and we did stop meeting for Operation Timothy at that time because they were trying to reorganize as a family. And after that, we lost touch.
I've been coming into Clovis Hills since I was about 2 years old, but we had to stop when I was about 4 because my dad and the distance from here and my house and stuff. Since it was such a hassle with my dad's disability, and to just drive out here for half an hour and then drive half an hour back.
I got a call from Ginger out of the blue. And she said, "This is Ginger. I don't know if you remember me. We used to meet at the Bible house." And it took me a couple seconds, but then I remembered who she was. And I remembered her little twin babies and her little boy. And when we were on the phone, she said, "I don't know if I can hold on to my faith anymore." Because by now, for the last 5 years, her husband had been out of a job and had become bedridden. The girls were now in junior high, and her son had just finished his 9th surgery at Valley Children's for kind of a severe version of scoliosis.
So we needed to put metal rods down it to correct it. He was allergic to the metal in the rods, and we had to take them out, and when we took them out, half his spine came out too. So we had to wait a very long time for it to grow back so we can try it again with different rods. And during the 2 months that he needed it to grow back, he just kept getting sicker and sicker in the hospital.
But I really felt concerned for the girls because they helped their mom take care of their dad, and now they were helping their mom take care of their brother.
Well, I was really mad that I didn't get to do a lot of things that, like, my friends that didn't have disabled dads, and they got to do with their dads, like go to their dances or whatever, and I didn't get to very much. So, and I thought that God was being mean to us. He didn't like us.
And just, you could tell, a lot of burden on the family about how to navigate all this. So I suggested, at the very least, let's see if maybe the girls would want to go to camp this past summer. And so I contacted John Annan, who's the director of the junior high ministry.
I responded to her saying, yeah, absolutely, we'll scholarship them. And so both the girls went. And immediately within a day, they had made friendships. And within a couple days up there, it's a week-long camp. Within a couple days, they were, you start to see their just whole demeanor changed as they were really in new ways hearing about Christ and who he was and what he'd done for them. And
John is really good. He always gets really in depth with the conversation. If like you need to step off and just talk to him separately, and then he can always do that, and he can get really in depth, or he can just stay out.
But that last day, they go to ring a bell if they made a commitment of faith for the first time. And so I head down to the green, and Brittany has hopped in line, and I was like, I don't know what she's thinking or if she understands. So I ran up to her real quick, and I said, "What's going on?" And she just said, yeah, that for the first time in her life, she understood what it meant to be a true Christian and had placed her faith in Christ for the first time in a real way. And so I'm like, cool, ring the bell.
And I started learning a little bit about God, but I didn't want to like give my life up because I wasn't ready to. I'm stubborn like that.
Coming back from camp, Ashley had heard a lot of the same things and was kind of on that same track, but hadn't made that step of faith that Brittany had. And when she came back, it sounded like just seeing some of those changes in her sister really kind of got her fired up. And really the question she posed to me at Clovis Fest was, I want that. I want to have this relationship with Christ, but I don't know what it means.
And I remember the day that Ashley got saved. It was during Clovis Days, and I have a jewelry booth there, and John goes, "Can I kind of like use your table?" And I went, "Yeah."
And I became Christian that day, September 20th.
And then one of the staffers, the volunteer staff, adults from the junior high ministry, volunteered to pick them up and take them home every weekend for church. So they get to come to Wednesday nights and they get to come to the weekends.
I don't know. When I was a junior high student, I just wished that there was somebody like us to be there to kind of mentor me, or I don't know. I just have the love for junior high ministry, and it's just so important for them to be here.
And when we went to summer camp, me and my sister, and that week on Tuesday, I felt that in my heart, I don't know why, it broke in half. And I thought that he was dead, since that was the week that we had to try again and put different kinds of rods. So I thought he was dead. And I didn't know what to do, so I broke down with my friends on the stage and cried and prayed. And I found out when I came home that week that my brother came home that day, and he was sitting there waiting on the couch for me to come home. And when I told my daddy that story, he told me that he wanted to be baptized with me. And my dad asked me one day if I want to become baptized. And I was like, no, I don't want to yet. And then a few weeks later, I came up to my dad and I'm like, I want to get baptized now.
You're my source of oxygen, desperate for you I am, Emmanuel. God change my heart within, reveal to me all my sin, Emmanuel.
The family's really growing and they're getting reconnected. It's amazing what's happening and how God just reached in and brought new life to them and brought them some hope and some light, some restoration, some reprieve. And therefore, Robert and Ginger and the two girls are all getting baptized this weekend. And it's pretty exciting what God is doing.